Good evening, everybody. Merci, Madame. Merci, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur. I would first raise the first question: why a Catholic priest here today in United Nations? Why introduced by the Ambassador of France? Why looking for mass graves in more than 10 countries? Why with 25 young people in Paris, because we are 25 full-time, we are investigating the shooting of Jews and Roma in 10 countries? You know, everybody knows it began with my grandfather, deported in Ukraine in 1942 as a French, and came back and never spoke. And I always asked him, why you don't speak? And finally I went to Ukraine. And I realized in the village he was deported, they shot 18,000 Jews and killed 25,000 Soviet prisoners, plus an unknown number of Roma. It took me 3-4 years to find people who were present at the killing. I realized the Germans were shooting the Jews in public, organizing like a show, a spectacle. People were gathering like you are gathered today. Sometimes they were calling with high voice people to come. I remember in one village, I met a woman, she was a girl, and she remembers the director of the class of the school said, tomorrow we have no school because we kill our enemies. So you can go and watch, and it will be the lesson the day after. So the children ran to the place because they knew there was a grave, but they arrived too early. There were no Jew, no German. So all the children were seated under a tree, and suddenly arrived the German bringing the Jews, and they stayed until the night to watch. It's what you must understand. The Germans were advertising what they did. It was no secret. I will never forget, by example, a woman from Belarus. She was in love with Samuel, a young Jew, in secret of her family. So every day she put a star and entered in the ghetto to bring food. And the day of the shooting, the Jews were queuing to be shot, and she was queuing with Samuel. And her mother opened the window, and suddenly she saw her daughter in the line with the Jews. So she ran, she took her girl outside. And I will never forget the end of the interview. I said, where are you now? And she said, I never saw back Samuel. You must understand that these 4,800 Russian, Belarusian, they speak like if it was yesterday. It's the first time they speak, the last time they speak. You must understand the German, they never sleep in the city where they kill. They wake up early at 4 o'clock and they drive in the night to the village. But the day before they phoned to encircle the Jewish area by local policemen or local Germans. It took years to know that the night before the shooting, it was legal to rape the Jewish girls. So when they arrived, the local policemen said very proud, I could rape 10 girls, 20 girls, 5 girls. So the night before the shooting is a nightmare for the ghetto because they are in the hands of the local people and of the local German. When they arrive to the village, they make an announce. We will deport you to Palestine. Prepare your luggage with all your capacity. So people have to line in the main street with all their belongings. I remember an Ukrainian lady, she saw her neighbor in the line, and the neighbor, the Jewish neighbor said, don't cry, we go to Palestine. And the woman said, no, you don't go to Palestine, because I was keeping my cow this morning behind the church, and I saw the mass grave. And the policeman said, if you go on speaking with the Jews, you will be shot like that. After a certain moment, they said the Jews to walk. They always make the mass grave in the direction of the train station, so people think they go to the train station. But suddenly they say links are reached, it means it's finished. There is no train, no deportation. So at that moment, the Jewish girls, they take their jewels and they throw them everywhere. And for me, it's the last jest that this girl did in 1942. So it's important because every time I say, finally we found you, 70 years after, we feel in evidence that the victims are Jews. Because today there are deniers who say that genocide never existed. So we have to prove everything like a crime. After, they bring the Jews near the mass grave and they ask them to undress. And after they isolate them 5 per 5 or 10 per 10, and the shooters are waiting. Why 5? Why 10? Because they decided the law, 1 bullet, 1 Jew, 1 Jew, 1 bullet. So if there are 5 shooters, they bring 5 persons. It's always helpful to learn how we have to kill the babies. Most of the time the mothers have to carry the babies like that so that from 1 bullet they will be killed both. And the other time all the children are thrown alive in the mass grave. You must understand also that the Germans wanted always to eat in time. So at lunch there is a pause. The cooker, I interviewed 3 times, a cooker was cooking during the shooting. And she had no choice. She has been convoked in the morning and she was cooking near the mass grave. And she told me the German went 2 per 2 from the table to the shooting place. And she told me at the end of the lunch it was 1,600 Jews less. On the evening, when the Jews are killed or not killed, they cover the mass graves. They put guards so that nobody can escape. And the day after, the municipality will sell the suits of the Jews by auction. Why do we do that? The first reason is what you are trying to do in United Nations. We cannot build a world on mass graves. And if we build Europe, Eastern Europe, on mass grave of Jews and Gypsy, on 2.3 million Jews, it's not a small group, it will kill all our values. If we don't bury the Jews correctly, if we don't bury the Gypsy correctly, what will we be able to say to Rwanda, to Cambodia, to Iraq today? If it was nothing to kill 2.3 million Jews in the middle of a Christian civilization. I will never forget that the Bible, the first question that God raises is where is your brother? And I think since I am a child, through my grandfather, through my family, I always listen to this question of God. Where is your Jewish brother from Ukraine, from Poland, from Russia, from Lithuania? He's under the ground, like an animal. And you remember the answer of Cain, he says, I have no time, it's not my job, what I have to do, I am not the God of my brother. I have something to do in modernity. And you remember the answer of God, he says, don't you hear that the blood of Abel is climbing from earth until heaven? And the commentary says the bloods, meaning all the people will be killed after. And so, we will not be able to keep 2 million free Jews silent. We will not be able to keep all these Roma killed silent and build modernity. I will never forget, 20 years ago I was in Krakow. I've been many times. And I have been with a personality of Poland, I will not give the name, and he told me, Patrick, Hitler made a mistake. He built Auschwitz. I say, why is it a mistake? He told me, because the Jews are coming back. He told me when they killed them in forest, they never came back. It took me years to realize what it was meaning. And I realized effectively that actually the mass killing by shooting, by bombing, by personal killing is the actual model of mass crime. Nobody rebuilt an Auschwitz. There was no Auschwitz in Rwanda. There was no Auschwitz in Cambodia. There is no Auschwitz today in Iraq and Syria, and they will not build an Auschwitz because they know will be photographs, satellite pictures, and memorials. But everybody is killed by bullets, by bombs, or by cutting the throat. It's why we are teaching Holocaust by bullets, because as I say, the victims say never again, and the mass killers say never again Auschwitz. Why to go today to Iraq and Syria? You know, we also opened a center for Roma in Brussels for the Roma genocide. But suddenly the Yazidi came and see me and say, why you don't help us? I say, yes, why I don't help you? And it took me months, in fact, to take the decision. It took me a long time to realize that genocide is not moving a lot of people. And you know what? I'm so happy we are here. But I wouldn't like that in 20 years we will be here for Yazidi or for another group. A genocide is not to build an exhibit. A genocide is not to build a museum. A genocide is to be stopped. Thank you.